All right, everybody, Coach Chris with Desire for Iron Fitness. I want to talk to you today about cardio as a tool for fat loss. Should you use it? All that other good stuff. What kind should you use? Everything. Well, to answer the first question, should you use cardio as a tool for fat loss? Yes. Should it be your only tool? Absolutely not. In fact, it should be the last of the priority, in my opinion. Now, give you some background from my own personal experience. In 2019, which would have had me at 44 going on 45, was when I did my first bodybuilding competition. And I certainly was not ready because I was really overweight when I first started the journey. And I was still overweight and over fat, for that matter, when I got up on stage in 2019. My thought process at the time was, well, you've already put in the work. Although, even though I put in the work, I didn't put it in for long enough. But in my mind, you've already put in the work. You've already done the dieting, everything else, let's get it done. So my cardio at the time was high intensity interval training. And my exercise was definitely bodybuilding style workouts, and I was having a ketogenic diet, but I was falling for that line of nonsense that on a keto diet, calories didn't matter, just your macronutrient ratios mattered. And sorry, no. Calories are calories, and while certain calories are more beneficial for you than others, like, healthy fats and protein as opposed to processed sugars, excess calories don't just disappear. So all that said, I did lose weight because of the workouts and everything, but not enough. So 2019, I pretty much embarrassed myself. And then as I've learned more over the years about bodybuilding, which bodybuilding, by the way, if you're trying to improve your physique, you are a bodybuilder. Just whether or not you plan to be a competitor is a different story. So over the years of learning more about bodybuilding and improving my physique, and thus also improving my health, I was learning about cardio, about diet, and things like that. What I feel is the best cardio from the research and my experience for fat loss is low impact steady state cardio, which is nothing but a fancy term for walking. Whether you walk on a treadmill or whether you walk outside, they both have their benefits. Walking outside, like right now, I get to hear people with their weed whacker while I'm trying to record a video in public, so I can't really bitch at all. I get to have some sun. I get to take the dogs out for a walk. I get to enjoy some fresh air, all that good stuff. So there's benefits to that. On a treadmill, I can control all the variables such as the incline and the speed and everything else, which might give me more of a caloric burn, unless I'm an idiot and I'm just sitting there leaning on the thing while I got it up to 15 on the incline and 3.5 on the speed, all right? Does you no good to lean on the damn thing. I'm guilty of it, but I shouldn't be, and neither should you. So low impact steady state cardio is your best bang for your buck for fat loss, for cardio itself. Right now, here comes the other part. So in 2020, when I was doing all of this, I was doing all of this by piecemealing things. I was doing all the research I could about bodybuilding and the like, and diet, and then I was piecemealing it and basically using myself as the crash test dummy. And I learned about the low impact steady state cardio. I'd heard some coaches talking about clients who really needed to lose a lot of weight in a shorter period of time, which was my case, doing upwards of 3 hours of cardio a day. I didn't do that. I would be on the treadmill for 2 hours a day, and then if time allotted, I'd go for a walk outside. I didn't have Rocky yet at the time, so I wasn't taking him for walks. But I did a lot of walking. There were days I would put upwards of 50,000 steps on my Fitbit. Lost plenty of weight. I have no idea how much muscle I might have lost. I definitely lost a lot of fat. First time in my life, saw a six-pack and all of that stuff. But whether or not I lost muscle, I don't know. I didn't spend all the money to do DEXA scans and all of that different stuff. One, because that stuff costs money and I'm the sole breadwinner. I'm not going to ask my wife, hey, can we spend a couple $100s or more on a scan just to see what my muscle mass is? When at the end of the day, the judges aren't pulling out fat clip calipers, and they're not pulling out scales and all of that stuff. They're just seeing who looks best with their, 99% naked. So didn't bother with that. I probably did lose some muscle. I lost plenty of fat, all that good stuff. Now, here's the learning thing that I should have learned from 2020, late 2020 on to now. Here we are at 2023. When you're in your gain phase, especially if you're a natural competitor, and especially if you're well past your metabolic prime, like myself in my mid to late 40s, your gaining phase does not give you liberty to put on a lot of weight, because then you're almost back to square one and you got to do all that cardio all over again just to drop the excess weight, and you maybe gained a half a pound of muscle in the process. So now in my growing phase from 2020 to the 2021 season, I put on a good amount of weight again. Didn't get like super huge or anything like that, but I got up to, I think, 197 pounds. And then I had 24 weeks out before my contest in Indianapolis. So at that point, I finally decided to do what I should have done a long time ago and hire a coach. My coach is Rob Goodwin of Ketogenic Bodybuilding. So be sure to check him out if you're looking for a coach. And we got to work. He actually doubted that he didn't tell me this, thank God, because that would have been really messed up. But he told me that he doubted I was going to be able to pull it off. But I listened to what he had to say and I got down to business. And again, I had to do an hour of cardio a day to get, things moving along, and I did. And I kept the diet right and everything else. And this time, so I did everything right. I did really well. Now, the show that I did in Indianapolis, I didn't place really all that well. But considering it's an NPC show and these guys are really veterans of the sport, I shouldn't have expected much. All right. It was depressing because I put in all that work, but hindsight 2020, doing what I was able to do was good enough. So I had to pause for a second. So yeah, the Indianapolis show didn't go as well as I wanted it to, but that's okay. The next preceding show was Reign of Fire with Natural Muscle Association, and that went extremely well. I got first place in the overall, I got the first place in the Masters, and the first place in the Masters overall. Took home 2 pro cards that day. Didn't do so good in the Classic Physique competition, but that Classic Physique guy was amazing. I hope that guy goes places because he was fantastic. All right, so 2021 goes along, comes and goes, and you do all of that work. You work extremely hard. You get down to some crazy body fat percentages. You really suffer through all of that because you're starving yourself, and then boom, you get a little bit off the rails. Holidays come along, all these different things. So we got chubby again. And then 2022 came along, and we're doing all the cardio and everything, but we weren't really dieting as hard. We weren't staying away from the alcohol as much as we should have and everything else. So we didn't do everything right. So now here we are in 2023, learning the lesson after thinking we had learned the lesson twice already. Gain phases are not meant to become bulking seasons. All right, you're watching this video, and if bulking season is part of your vocabulary, I want you to take it out right now. Because think about this. You have no idea how hard it is just to gain a pound of muscle. All right, but it's extremely easy to gain a pound of fat. To gain a pound of muscle, yes, there's an excess of calories to do that. All right. A pound of muscle, however, is only 600 calories, whereas a pound of fat is 3,500 calories. So getting into like super excess calorie zones to where you're putting on a lot of weight, most likely it's going to be fat, because fat just comes on. It's not like muscle. That muscle doesn't need just calories. It needs the stress, it needs the proper nutrients, and it needs the rest. So you have to put the stress on it by working out extremely hard, taking yourself to failure, past failure, things like that. Then you got to give it the proper nutrients, aka protein and healthy fats, and then you got to give it the rest, going to bed and not hitting the same muscle group too soon. So there's a little bit more involved than just eating a lot of food. So the pound or 2 pounds of muscle you might gain does not justify the 20 to 30 pounds of weight you're going to gain. because now think of all that weight you got to take off. And again, now you're doing an hour on the treadmill, perhaps more. So here I am for the last time doing a shit ton of cardio so I can lose the weight. Am I doing 2 hours? Absolutely not. Why? Because my diet is a lot more in check. Now, let's talk about the hypothetical 2024 season. I have 2 contests this year, both in October. And you're darn right, after the second contest is over, I'm going to have an extremely awesome meal. In fact, my birthday will be right around the corner from that day. So maybe I'll have 2 awesome meals. One after the contest and one on my birthday. After that, it's going to be calorie tracking and macronutrient tracking and proper exercise. Sure you enjoyed hearing my map, my walk. Let me know what my time was there. So, as I said, we're going to be tracking macronutrients, we're going to be tracking calories, we're going to be exercising, and yes, we're going to do cardio. But cardio at that point will have a much different reason. And the main reason why you should do cardio, no matter what your goals are, is so you can keep the inside of your body healthy as well. So this is where I say cardio shouldn't be necessary for your fat loss program, because there should never be an off season to your health. There should never be an off season to your way of eating and dieting. You should always be eating properly. So it's really frustrating, discouraging, heartbreaking, whatever, when you're getting on Instagram and any of the other social medias and seeing these people get super huge during the bulking phase. And it shouldn't even be considered a bulking phase, right? But what I'm saying is they're letting themselves get way too heavy during the gain phase and putting on very little muscle. So when you're needing to lose some fat, regardless of why, should you use cardio? Yes, you should, because it will help. But more importantly, let your diet do the work. Because at the end of the day, no matter how much work you're doing, if you're not properly fueling your body, or in some cases underfueling it because you put it in a caloric deficit, you got a long road ahead of you. All right? And when you do reach your goal weight and you decide to ease off on the gas pedal a little bit, don't put yourself in cruise control. All right? Still take care of what you need to take care of and make sure you're doing it right. But the thing that cardio is great for, regardless of what you're doing, I would always tell you to do cardio whether you're in a gain phase or in a cutting phase. And yes, I would tell you to bump it up when you're in a cutting phase, because every last bit that you're trying to do helps. All right? But you should be taking care of your heart, you should be taking care of your organs as well. So that means eating properly, exercising, resting, and yes, moving. Right now, taking the dogs on a walk. I would have preferred to hit the treadmill today, but I've hit the treadmill every day this week, and my legs were starting to feel a little sore. I have a show with my band later on tonight, so I have to be active for that. And quite honestly, I got a lot of shit to do. So knowing I got to take the dogs for a walk, as well as get stuff to do, figured, well, I'll just take the dogs for a longer walk as opposed to waste that time on the treadmill. And the dogs enjoy the longer walk. It's a real pain in the ass walking 2 dogs as it is opposed to just walking 1. But we manage and we get on by. So that was it. That's it in a nutshell, folks. Yes, use your cardio. No, don't make it your sole reason. And don't let yourself get too overweight so you're not having to kill yourself with cardio. You can let diet help too. In fact, diet should be your most important means by which you're going to lose the fat. Make sure with your diet, definitely a good ratio of macronutrients. Carbohydrates being the least important. In fact, if you never have another carbohydrate between now and the day you die, you're going to do just fine. But you're going to die soon if you don't have the right amount of fats and the right amount of protein. All right, folks, I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it. Be sure to like this video. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. Hit that alert bell so you can get all the other videos as they come up. Before you go, I also want to let you know about, I'm going to put the link in the description, Alpha Lion Supplements. Go through that link. Use code DESIRE for iron for 10% off. You'll be helping me out, and you'll be getting yourself some amazing products. I personally love their Hulk Milk Protein. 110 calories per scoop. Forget about it. It is mostly protein as it has 25 grams per scoop. I take this almost every day. What I like to do is I put 3 scoops of this in a mixing bowl, put just enough water to get it to stir, make a pudding, put it in the fridge, get done with my workout, come home, slam 75 grams of protein. Forget about it. My pre-workout is Fruit of the Dragon. It is their super pump. It is a non-stim, so I don't get the jitters, I don't get the pins and needles feeling, but I get an amazing workout. Thank you again so much. I love you. This community is growing by leaps and bounds because of you. God bless you. Have a great day.